Relationship Life Framework and Following in One's Footsteps. Welcome to day 1617 of What Chapter Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, playing with toys like I sometimes like to do as I'm creating my content for the day. For Supersize Your Business, we talked about the idiom to follow in one's footsteps. And thus, SpongeBob, which reminds me of my dad, and footsteps, because I definitely, of my sisters, am the one that has followed most in my father's footsteps. I followed in my mom's footsteps in some ways and aspects of life, and in my dad's footsteps in other ways. They were both tremendous role models for me with respect to relationships, especially, which is the area that we're talking about, and how it interacts with other areas and aspects of our life for our annual challenge, the BU 365-day challenge. So today, I shared this lovely graphic that I created when I was explaining it to one of my coaching students, how the life framework, the 9 different areas and aspects of the life framework: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, and then I added confidence and communication last year, how they all are interrelated and how they interact with one another. So one thing we're doing as we go through the annual challenge is we're taking a day of each of the months, the first 9 months of the year, and we're saying, okay, how does this area interact with itself as well as all the other areas? Because our relationships interact with our other relationships, right? If I have a challenging relationship with anyone in my life, it will spill over into other relationships. It's almost impossible for us as humans to not have what I call emotional leakage, or action and behavioral and thought and feeling and belief leakage. Things leak out of one area or one relationship into other relationships. If I'm having a really bad relationship with my significant other, which I've been there, done that, it negatively impacts the relationship that we had with our children. As much as we try to protect them and hide that and keep that separate, it leaches over. There's no way that they go unaffected, even if it's just the energy that we have after having a negative interaction. That energy is still with us. It doesn't just immediately dissipate unless we take super action steps to do it. And let's say back then, I was not a person who was developed enough to do that, and so it definitely impacted my kids, my grandchildren. Not my grandchildren, but my kids. So today we talked about, I haven't done it yet, but our exercise is to take relationships with each of the other areas of our life framework and our life and say, what are the big 3 things that come to my mind when I think about relationships and my physical well-being, relationships and my emotional well-being, relationships and my mental capacity and well-being, relationships and my financial well-being. If we don't believe that relationships have something to do with our financial well-being, that's why we're asking ourselves that question. Maybe we've never thought about that before. Maybe we've never thought about how communication and relationships interact when it comes to our relationships, and how that impacts so many other areas of our life. If I don't have the ability to share my expectations and set boundaries with other people, that will affect not only my relationships in my personal life, but my relationships at work, my relationships in my business, my relationships in organizations that I choose to participate in. So this is going to be a fun one, because we're going to go through, I haven't done it yet, you can see, but I'm going to do it. What are the 3 things that come to mind in each of these areas? And then I'm going to look at that and say, okay, well, what are the big 3 of that list? Because I know I'm not going to work on 36 things right off the bat. So what are 3 things that I better tick off the list really, really fast? If I'm having a tough relationship with someone at work, I better deal with that, or it's going to negatively impact my work experience, etc. If I'm having a challenge, and you'll notice I say if I'm having a challenge with, that's the thing I'm going to address, because we don't take action on things until we're uncomfortable. We don't do anything until we're having a negative impact on our life, because there's so many things that are taking our attention in life. It has to be something negative, usually, that, not always, but usually, that gets our attention before we'll address it. So I'm going to see what are the big 3 things that pop up for me, and I really don't know what they are right off the top of my head. That's why I want to break it down by each of the life framework areas, so that I'm hitting the big ones first. I'm not just dealing with the relationship that is in front of my face right now. I hope that I'm explaining that and that makes sense. But I think that that's going to be a very powerful exercise for me and for everybody else in the challenge. speechless. It doesn't happen very often. Lots of things going on right now, working with the real estate group to help them take their offline coaching program and put it online, doing some other really fun projects as well, both personal as well as with other people. We'll share those as details become available. If I can help you in any way, if you've got an offline to online question, if you've got a burning question that you've tried to find the answer to and you just can't, you don't have anybody else that you feel like you can ask, just Voxer me, pajamagrandma@gmail.com, or hit me up and ask. In 5 minutes, I guarantee we can get you moving on the next thing that you need to do. Not all the things that you need to do to accomplish your lifelong goals, but at the next thing. Because one of the worst things we can do is think we don't know what to do and be stuck in that, or to be afraid just to take one little step to move us forward. Because once we take that one step, it's like the floodgates open and everything becomes possible. All right, have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.